Welcome, everybody, to your new favorite video games podcast, Get Some Games, episode 7. I'm your host, Sean, and I'm here, as always, with Ben.
Ayo.
Ayo. For those of you that don't know, Get Some Games is a weekly video games podcast where we talk about all the latest news in video games, give our opinions, and talk about anything and everything in the world of video games. So, of course, if you like that idea, please subscribe to us right here on YouTube and all other podcast services, and please give us a follow on Twitter at GetSome_games. So, actually, we usually don't do this, but I have a couple small announcements that I want to start the show with. I'm not going to plug all this stuff every week, but at least just for this one time, I got a couple announcements. Get Some Games is now on all podcast services. It's on iTunes. It's going to be on the Google Play Store once they start their podcast thing. We're on Stitcher. And we're on TuneIn, and we're on SoundCloud. If you search Get Some Games on any of those services, even on Google now, we pop up on the front page. Cool. So if you search it on any of those places, we pop up. We're the only Get Some Games on there. We have a new Twitch URL. We are now twitch.tv/GetSomeVideoGames. And I started a Facebook group where you can check us out on facebook.com/GetSomeGames and have fun on there. And yeah, that's all of our stuff.
Ooh.
Oh, and the podcast is scheduled now. We're gonna be posting every Monday at 9 a.m. We're gonna try really hard to hit that. We might skip the Monday after Christmas though, because of holidays and whatnots.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the goal for sure. That's the tentative goal.
Yes. And that's it. That's all I got for plugs. So thanks for sitting through that.
All right. Well, lay down the news on us, Sean.
Actually. Let's start the show with the topic of the week.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. This week we got a request on Twitter from @WeaveDaddy92. What's up, Weave? I love you, bro. He wanted us to do our top 5 biggest game disappointments of all time, but we're going to save that for something else. So for this week, we're actually going to do our top 3 disappointments of the year. We hope that that's good enough for you. If not, please let us know and scream at us on Twitter.
And in the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
If you really want to scream at us, definitely hit the like button.
Yeah, we hate that. All right. So, you want to start?
Yes, I do, and it should come to zero shock to anybody if you've seen our Battlefront review or the general reception for the game, that Battlefront is one of my disappointments of the year. Mine isn't in any particular order, but Battlefront was definitely a pretty huge disappointment. Not that the core gameplay is bad per se, but there's just a lot wrong with it. Not enough to do. It's strayed a little too far away from the original Battlefront, and not having like the PvE elements from previous Battlefront games kind of highlights how shallow the shooting is. It's not like really bad or anything, but Battlefront was always awesome because you had all these different elements. You could hop in a vehicle, you could kill waves of enemies, like it was sweet, but now you can't really do that anymore. EA's ELC's DLC policy has been particularly scummy this year. They kind of tried to backpedal a little bit by saying, oh, we're going to offer some maps and some stuff for free, but $50 season pass is still there. It's still obnoxious. And yeah, I've said pretty much all I needed to say in the last review. But
yeah, you can check out our Battlefront review for that. I will link it right now in the video, so you can check that out because Battlefront is on my list as well. It's my number 3. I actually did have mine in order. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, pretty much everything that you said. I think I definitely like it more than the average person. I still enjoy it. I still play it pretty consistently. I've got like 25 hours on it, I think. I'm really enjoying it, but it's so shallow and like the same argument that everyone's had over and over. They still haven't fixed the grenade problem. Like you can walk into any room and just get absolutely bombarded with grenades all day, every time, and all that good stuff. So yeah, Ben subbed up Battlefront for me, and you guys have heard it on any and all message boards about how shallow that game is and how much of a disappointment it is.
But it's still fun. It's just it just should have been more than what it was, and it feels scummy. And I'm glad that there's such an uproar about it, because maybe companies will realize that this kind of shit pisses people off when you do that. When you charge $60 for a full only online only multiplayer game that doesn't have enough of a skill ceiling to keep you invested for very long, and not enough interesting modes. So
Yeah, and this has also sparked a bunch of articles and people's thoughts of like just online multiplayer games in general should not be $60. So like this could also affect other games as well. Like it's crazy that Rockstar can put out GTA 5 and it's completely fully fleshed out story mode, and like you could play that game as a single player experience only and have it for endless hours. But then with that same $60 price tag with no additional cost, you also get GTA Online, which is like even more robust than Star Wars Battlefront in itself. So like EA really has no excuse. Like I know it still costs millions of dollars to create these games and hold these servers and update the game constantly, but when games like Grand Theft Auto 5 are doing the same thing, like but at an even grander scale for free, like it's I don't know if I could justify paying $60 for an online only game ever again. And I think companies are starting to hear that, and we'll either see cheaper games because of it, or we might see more attention brought to like the single player experiences again.
see, I was thinking about it, and I watched a video posted today by, or at the time of this recording, by Total Biscuit, and he kind of discussed online games, and I kind of agree with him. I don't think that the issue is that they don't have single player. I think the issue is that the multiplayer is so sparse that it doesn't feel worth the $60. Because when you think about it, like I've already played Battlefront for like what 12, 15 hours, but those 12, 15 hours didn't feel as satisfying as if I were to just pick up my Sonic Generations game and play that for 4.5 hours. You know,
Yeah.
like it's about the quality of each individual minute than it is about the total minutes. Not every game has to be open world and like 50 million hours. Like that's obviously an unreasonable expectation, but for online only, they need to do more to keep people invested than your stock game modes with whatever coat of paint they want to put on it.
Yeah, like I said, I've got about 25 hours into Battlefront right now, which is a lot more than I've put into other $60 games. But like a good example, I've seen it a lot, but it's with good reason. People paid I think 15, maybe $20 for Journey. Journey is like at most a 3-hour game, and the experience I got from that is like way beyond any feeling I've gotten from playing Battlefront. And like I said, I only played it for like 3 hours. So if I paid $60 for Journey, I wouldn't have been disappointed, even though I only played it for 3 hours. It would have totally been worth it.
Right.
But even though I have a lot of fun playing Battlefront and it's a good time killer, and I like it enough to put 25 hours into it, it still is like, $60 is, I don't see it. There's not enough.
Yeah. And I think that you can do online. I don't know if I've said this on the show previously, but I know I've said in life previously that online only games shouldn't cost $60. And I'm going to retract that statement and say that I don't necessarily agree with that. It's just, if they're going to be this sparse, then they should cost less.
Yeah.
But if they're going to be robust, if we have some sort of guarantee that they're going to maintain the servers, then I think it'd be good. Blizzard has a lot of their games are online, and they don't really have this problem. And people were worried about Overwatch, like what happens when the game isn't supported anymore. It's a $60 full release, blah blah blah. But Blizzard has a history of maintaining their servers for like a really long time. So the fact that people still worry about that is like something that the industry needs to dispel also. So I think that's contributing in some fashion to the paranoia and worry about online only games. But there's also a bunch of legitimate reasons to be worried too. Not that reason isn't necessarily legitimate, but I think that a lot of these large publishing companies have kind of hurt the faith in them by being scummy.
Yeah, like there's some games that like you cannot play anymore because they don't have the servers running, and like I get why they do that, because like if 100 people are playing your game and it costs you like thousands of dollars to maintain the server, like that doesn't make any sense. You're gonna close it down, and that sucks, especially if the game came out like 20 years ago. But yeah, like you brought up Blizzard. Blizzard is notorious for, like, Blizzard still gives super beefy updates to Diablo 3, and I know it's the newest Diablo, but I'd be surprised if that game still has like 5% of its player base. That number might be way off, but
Well, they just released an expansion to it, didn't
I
they?
don't think so. Like they give big updates, but they didn't. I'm pretty.
Oh, Reaper of Souls was last year.
Yeah,
wasn't it? So-
Reaper of Souls came out early last year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like the newest expansion on it, and they still put out like big updates that like really affect the game a lot. And like I said, I'd be surprised if more than 5% of its original player base is still there. But Diablo has like one of the most hardcore followings, so I understand why they'd want to do it, please their fans.
Yeah.
And because they do stuff like that, Blizzard has great mind share with the gaming community, so I think it's totally worth it.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
All right, let's move on. My next biggest disappointment is The Order 1886. That game had major hype behind it. I think just because it was a PlayStation exclusive. It was made by Ready at Dawn, so it's not like a first party. Sony Santa Monica helped with it, but it's not like a true first party game. But it's an exclusive. They were hyping it up like it was going to be one of those games. It looks gorgeous. I'd still say it might have the best graphics I've ever seen in any game, at least the character models.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I wouldn't say art design, but like just
In terms
not that
of
you said that, but
yeah, in
but
terms of the characters looking
Yeah.
as human and real like as possible, I would show me another game that looks better than that, and then like I'd be impressed. But like it was really short. It was like a 3.5 hour game. It kind of at a lot of points it seemed just like a glorified tech demo. Like they realized how beautiful the game was, so they kept shoving it in your face like look how beautiful this game is, and they kind of forgot to make the game. It's just like here's one cover-based shootout followed by another cover-based shootout followed by a quick time event after quick time event. And quick time events don't really bother me. I don't understand why there's a massive outcry about them. I get when they're used terribly, it's really noticeable, but there's some games where like you can throw in one quick time event and it like ruins the game for everybody. But or people
I guess
act
because it's
that
kind
way.
of a lazy way of having quote unquote cinematic moments, like with dynamic camera angles and stuff that are like technically gameplay, but it's like a super lazy way of doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess I always thought of it like if you didn't have a quick time event there, then instead you would just watch it happen. So like
I feel like it's the same.
yeah. So
It's pretty close. I mean, some people don't mind them. I'm kind of mostly ambivalent towards them, but
yeah, like I don't love them or think they're good even. I just like don't understand why people absolutely hate them.
oh yeah, I think it's because sometimes they get shoved into games where they shouldn't go, and so the hatred has just kind of been stretched to all QuickTime events, even though some of them are fine.
Yeah, like oh my god, the Uncharted Golden Abyss final boss is a quick time event, like, and it's on the Vita, and it was a Vita launch title, so of course they had to be like, look at all the cool things the Vita can do, and like totally ruin it. But like Uncharted Golden Abyss is like an amazing, actual, true to PS3 version Uncharted game, and the final boss fight is like a bunch of swiping quick time events. Like, I've never been so frustrated in my life. But anyway, in The Order, like the final boss fight of The Order is literally a cut and paste of like a boss fight that happens in Chapter 3. So it's a major disappointment. The story didn't really get as interesting as they made it seem. Like that game has potential, and it's set up for a sequel. Like it ends with totally they want there to be a sequel, and hopefully they continue with it because it has huge potential. But it really just was a big letdown. So that's my number 2.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty fair number 2. I was actually pretty disappointed by that game as well. When they showed it, I was like, "Whoa, this looks pretty cool. This looks pretty cool." Oh, 30 FPS because cinematic FPS. That's a bunch of bullshit. Like, if you can't get your game to run at 30 FPS, just like say we chose these level of graphics over 30 FPS, over 60 FPS, but don't be like we did it for cinematic quality. If you did that, it'd be at 24 FPS. But then you said that wasn't good enough for games. So shut up.
Yep.
But it sounds like nonsense, and it's like people can see right through that kind of thing, or maybe not everyone, but a lot of people can. Um, so I guess the rest of my list is going to be in order. So my next list was World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor. So Warlords of Draenor came out 2014, but while it was the year 2014, Warlords of Draenor was awesome. I believe it released in November, and then pretty much after the first 3 or 4 months of the game, Blizzard just like stopped supporting it. They didn't like stop supporting it completely, but they stopped providing meaningful updates to the game. Like it was mostly small things, and they didn't do a whole lot to improve the game. They added a couple raids, which if you know Warcraft, that's like one of the biggest parts of end game progression. But they didn't add much in the way of doing anything outside of those things, and it ended up being one of the worst World of Warcraft expansions they've ever released. Like it started off so promising, like the dungeons were awesome, the raids were awesome, everything was awesome, and then 4 months later, you're like, okay, I've kind of done everything, and it's kind of falling. Like it's just the garrison system fell apart. I know Sean probably doesn't know what I'm talking about right now, but
I speak MMO.
okay.
I
Well,
play Destiny. I'm a hardcore MMO player. No. Obvious joke. Obvious joke.
nope.
Yep.
Someone's gonna stop listening right there and pause.
No,
and
I
then-
know that's. I hate calling out obvious jokes, but I feel like it's the internet, so I have to.
Someone's gonna hear it and believe it. But yeah, so basically, it ended up being a disappointment. I think pretty unanimously it was a disappointment. I mean, Warcraft's like a huge resurgence of subscribers, so much so that Blizzard servers were like not working very well the first day or two. And then they got it working, and it climbed all the way back up to 10 million subscribers, and then like 3 or 4 or 5 months down the line, it dropped down to the lowest it's ever been. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's because people are losing interest in World of Warcraft as a concept or as a game. I think it's because Blizzard really dropped the ball, or the Warcraft division of Blizzard really dropped the ball on that game later down the line. And it looks like it looks like things are looking up with Legion, but I don't want to get too excited and then get my hopes dashed again. So
Yeah, I think if some like with what you said, you don't think it's a coincidence. Like if people are playing World of Warcraft for 10 years, they're not gonna just stop because they've now realized they've had enough 4 months into the new expansion. Like 4 months into a game, for a game to get boring after 4 months, for your average game, that's not so bad. But with World of Warcraft, people have been playing it for 10 years and they still love it. So like, I think there is a lot to say there where people already are bored with it.
especially since 10 million people, like 3 or 4, I think it was 3 or 4 million people came back to the
Jeez.
game because people were so excited for this expansion. Like it looked awesome, looked like the Warcraft that they knew, and it was for like 3 or 4 months. It was great, and then it kind of teetered off. But the questing was great. The dungeons were great the first few times, but there was only 8, so you get bored pretty after a few months. So hopefully Legion rectifies a lot of those issues. I think they will. I think they're very aware of the problems that expansion had. So
When does Legion come out?
2016. It says summer 2016, which is kind of insane, given that Warlords of Draenor hasn't had any meaningful content updates since they put in Hellfire Citadel, which is a raid, and that was the only thing in the content update. There's nothing else. So
How possible is it for a brand new Warcraft player to join right now?
it's pretty easy.
Is it lost at this point because people have like literally 10,000 hours on that game, or is it like?
No, it doesn't really work that way, because basically how it works is whenever there's a new expansion released, you get levels to level up to. So say like for the next one for Legion, we get 10 more levels, so we can go up to 110 now. Basically, like all the gear that you earned from the previous expansion is kind of obsolete, so it doesn't really matter anymore. You replace it with better stuff pretty quickly, and there's catch-up mechanics for newer players and catch-up mechanics for people who have multiple characters. So it's really easy to get into. You don't really need to have been playing for a while. I think it's very new player friendly.
That's cool. If it didn't have a monthly fee, I'd probably play it. But
Yeah, Warcraft is one of the few games that I've ever felt was worth the monthly fee because you get so much, and you get you don't get technically you're still paying $15 a month, but you could say that the content updates are free. You're not paying for them. You're not paying any extra on top of the monthly subscription. So
yeah, I don't know what I would prefer. Like, people say that the Destiny, like, actually, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm sorry.
no, I think subscription models. It's really hard to sell people on it. It only works for Warcraft because it's been there for 10 years. I think if Warcraft just came out now and they tried to do that, it wouldn't work out too well.
Yeah, look what happened to Elder Scrolls Online. The hype could not have been higher for that game. And then, like, if the hype meter was at 100%, the second they announced a subscription model, it dropped to 5% probably. And then, like, they ditched there is still a subscription model, I think.
You can't start. I think there's like a free version and then there's a subscription version.
Yeah, like, you buy the $60 game and then it's fine. Like, you play it and that's cool. But then there is a subscription model that gets you, like, bonus stuff. But yeah,
I don't like the idea of having two different versions of the game. It just feels like, because then it's like you're paying to win, and it feels bad. If you're gonna do a subscription model from the start. Don't start free to play, then try to switch. It just feels like it feels bad as a consumer.
Yeah, and the older Republic did the same thing. Like, they started out with a subscription model and then they went free to play.
I heard the single player experience for that game is like awesome.
Yeah,
but like the end game is like worthless.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, basically.
So what I'm thinking is I might do the whole single player experience because apparently it's like really good, like the best single player experience in any MMO, which is weird because it's massive multiplayer online, but whatever. So I was thinking of playing that.
Yeah, my laptop could probably run it at like at like low settings though, and I don't have a mouse, so that instantly kills it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
But
you don't want to do keyboard and mouse games with a trackpad.
No. I would never even consider it. But I want a single player Star Wars game so bad.
You could get one of the Knights of the Old Republic games, though. I've been playing them, and not a big fan. Not big on the combat.
Yeah, they feel dated for sure.
I know some people are really into that kind of thing, but I'd rather have like a visceral action slasher kind of combat with being an RPG personally.
Oh yeah, that's coming.
Yeah.
Amy Hennig is writing it. It's coming.
And Final Fantasy action combat. It's not turn based anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you ever played Kingdoms of Amalur.
I have.
But like, have you beaten it?
No.
Okay, neither have I. I've only played the demo, but like
that's funny because that's all I've played of it.
Oh, okay, the gameplay is so fun, but I heard like the narrative isn't super compelling. Like the way the questing and stuff works isn't super interesting. It's a single player game, but I heard the combat is like one of the best for any RPG.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very fluid, and you combine like melee with magic and all of your RPG abilities and things like that. Like, they flow really nicely.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's harder to design an RPG game with action components because then you have to design the world around that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because before you can make the world however you wanted, because then you would just go into combat, and then it would be a separate screen. But as if it's all on the same screen, then you have to design the world around that. You have to take different things into account. But yeah, I think a visceral action combat combined with like a really engaging RPG is like some of the best combinations you can have.
I honestly think my favorite game of all time would be a Star Wars MMO with gameplay like Ninja Gaiden or Devil May Cry or God of War.
Oh my goodness.
That would be the greatest game of all time, hands down.
I'd be so with that.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how they would do it because every MMO has a very similar... Okay, never mind. That's way too broad of a statement. But, like, like a lot of MMO games, they have, like, you right-click on the enemy, and then you run to it, and you attack it. Like, your character just attacks. You don't, like, have combos like Ninja Gaiden style or anything like that.
You have, like, a combat rotation. I think that's still interesting. I think it's more interesting than what Old Republic does, for example. But
yeah, I like it. It's fun.
But it's not... Imagine if you were, like... I don't know. Imagine if it was just, like, an action... Like, actually, like, an action game, but, like, in the setting of an MMO. That'd be so sweet.
Yeah, that would, like, someone's got to make that. I'm sure
that'd be
there's a
so
reason
hard.
why. Yeah, like there's got to be a reason why there isn't one like that. But
Designing bosses and things around that would be so challenging.
yeah, if you have like 16 player raid going, all fighting like Kratos on this one boss, like it would. If someone figures it out though, that's gonna be a game changer.
I'd give them 2 cookies.
Yeah, I'd give them a monthly subscription for sure. I'll buy your $60 game and then I'll give you $15 a month if you keep it interesting. And if it's the new like Old Republic game, or if they ditch Old Republic and make a new Star Wars MMO with that, oh boy, I'm quitting everything.
Oh man, speaking of the Star Wars MMO, I'm surprised they haven't Disney didn't squash it, because it's not canon anymore. Nothing that happens in this MMO is canon. So
Yeah, nothing that happens in the MMO is canon. It came out before they bought the license, and it came out before I got into Star Wars. So I need them to erase or to stop the Old Republic and start a new one and put it on consoles, so I can get into it ASAP. But I know that's very selfish.
I want an Old Republic movie. All right, that's like, I've teetered from tangent to completely off topic now.
That's okay. Welcome to the Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, Star Wars is the greatest thing ever.
No.
It's so great, I can't even think of the words to describe it.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us your last disappointment?
All right. My last disappointment is Guitar Hero Live. I'm on record on this show in episode 1 of saying Guitar Hero is my favorite franchise of all time, which is funny because up until Guitar Hero 3, I thought it was a completely idiotic concept. And I was like, you play the same song and it's the same note chart. How does that not get repetitive? And I didn't listen to the type of music. It came out when I was still a stupid early teenage boy listening to Pop Lock and Drop It on the radio. And then I went to a friend's house and I saw them play One on Expert by Metallica and just thought it was like the craziest looking thing. And then one of my best friends brought it over and it was history from there. It's the best game ever now. So when it went away and Activision said that they were putting it on halt, I was devastated. Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, which was the newest one at the time, is my favorite one. I thought they nailed gameplay. Everything felt perfect. The soundtrack was great. They were putting out monthly DLC. It was like Guitar Hero heaven. And then they stopped, and I was devastated. But I still had it, and I could still play. And then I got a new console. I got a PS4. And the Xbox 360 kind of like, it's still there, so I can play Guitar Hero, but I don't want to play it as much. So the Rock Band announces that they're coming back, and it's the exact same game. You got your same instruments. You can import your songs. It's the same game. Here you go. And it was like one of the best things I've ever heard. I was really excited right there. And then Guitar Hero announces that they're having a new game too. And my first expectation is they're going to do the same thing that Rock Band's doing. And it was like, I was so excited. I get another console generation of new Guitar Hero. It was going to be the best. But then that didn't happen at all. Guitar Hero Live is a completely different game, a different guitar, a different gameplay setup completely, all new songs, and then they have this Guitar Hero Live mode where you have to earn plays, and you can buy plays, and songs aren't there forever. Like, you can't own a song, you just have to play the music video that happens to be playing at the time. Like, what if I sign on and the music channel is on some country garbage that I don't want to listen to? It's a disaster. It's a great idea. I appreciate them trying to do something new, but it seems awful. And it just completely killed all Guitar Hero hype. So now I just fully play Rock Band, and which is great. I love Rock Band too. Like, I love Rock Band as well. But it just doesn't feel as good as Guitar Hero, and I'll never be as good at Rock Band as I was at Guitar Hero. And like, it's just massively disappointing. Like, it's borderline devastating. And like, it's ridiculous how much thought and emotion I put into how upset I am at Guitar Hero Live. It's a little embarrassing, but that's one of my biggest gaming disappointments in history, let alone of the year.
Damn,
Yep.
That's pretty intense. I wish I had like anything to say about that.
Yeah. Oh, and what makes things worse is it seems like every time of all the Rock Band 4 DLC that's come out, I've only been excited for one pack of it, which was actually just this week. And it seems like every time Guitar Hero announces that they have that they're bringing new songs into the Guitar Hero Live mode, they're songs that I like. So
That's good.
Guitar Hero still has songs that I would like more than what I'm playing in Rock Band, but they're not like in the game. I can't just buy the song and have it and play it. I have to use my pay to play, and if I restart, then it costs a play, and it's like running on a looped music video. Like, God, I hate the Spotify era. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
I love
You're
it,
next.
but hate it.
You're next.
All right, now my biggest disappointment, unequivocally, is the Nintendo E3 Direct.
Woo. Here we
Man,
go.
this shit,
This shit right here. Let me tell you.
this shit right here irritated me so much. Look, it's not like they didn't show anything good. That's not the case. But they mostly showed like spin-offs. And it wasn't like the other conferences where they would show spin-off, then they show the main game, or they show the main game, then they showed spin-off. Nintendo was just low after low after low after low after low. Like, they didn't announce anything. Anything they hadn't already shown. And I mean, it's Star Fox, which we already knew about, but I was just like floored by how awful. I thought it was like, some people say it's like bad. It's not that much worse than the other ones. I think it's like supremely terrible, like one of the worst E3 conferences directs I've ever seen. Like, it really pissed me off because I was looking forward to it. I was like, okay, there's gonna be a bunch of cool stuff that they're gonna announce for my Wii U, and they just didn't do that. And I mean, I'm sure no doubt some people are excited about Star Fox, but I think even the people that were disappointed by how like it didn't look very like. It didn't grab you. It didn't grab your attention. It's like, oh, it's a Star Fox.
It looks like a launch title GameCube game.
like an upscaled to HD launch title GameCube game. Because the resolution is clearly like higher, but it's not the textures and stuff. It looks. I don't think a game needs to look super amazing, but like what they're doing in the game doesn't seem like it. Like, it should have that graphical fidelity like that low. But anyways, I didn't really care about that. What really like the nail in the coffin for me, like barely even keeping up with E3 the rest of the time, was the Metroid Prime announcement, right? So this is what they do. They flash. I think they flashed Metroid Prime on the screen, and then we see it's a 3DS game. Then we see it's just some goofy, stupid little spin-off game about Federation forces kicking balls into nets.
Is that not the Metroid you wanted?
Oh my goodness!
You didn't like the roots of Metroid, the side-scrolling soccer game?
God. Oh my God! And I'm not alone in this irritating people. And it would not have irritated me if they had announced a Metroid game, like a normal one, and then this, be like, okay, you're also going to get this little spin-off too. That would have been fine. It's the fact that this spin-off announcement came without a Metroid announcement. Not only that, we haven't had a good Metroid game since 2007. That's almost 10 years. 10.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's many years.
That's ridiculous. Other M was a good action game in its own right. It was fine. But the story, the characterization of Samus was like offensively terrible. Offensively. The character that they created in Other M was not the same Samus that we've seen in the other games. And you don't even get that much dialogue, but even with the glimpses that you got into her character beforehand, it's totally inconsistent. And it's ridiculous. And it made me so angry. And if you go to the Federation Forces YouTube video on Nintendo's channel, the dislike bar is insane. Like, this pissed everyone off. You just made everyone angry. You didn't announce a new Metroid game. There hasn't been a great one in a really long time. And then you announced this spin-off. It felt... I like to be pretty calm and like say there's a rational explanation, there's this and that, and like, no, screw that. Like, this felt like a slap in the face, and this was easily my most disappointing moment of the year. I apologize. Actually, I don't. If you enjoyed the direct, that's fine. I
I
hated
thought you
it.
were gonna go. I thought you were gonna say I apologize. No, no, I don't apologize. If you enjoyed the direct, fuck you.
I should have said that. But I don't want anyone to think that they're like it's a reflection on them if they like the direct. No, that just means that you saw stuff that appealed to you. But to me, it seemed like they just announced a bunch of spin-offs I didn't care about, and a Metroid game I was really hoping for ended up just being some spin-off. So
Yeah,
you know,
I remember watching that conference and just thinking like, man, I like Nintendo, and I still could not care less about any of these games. I watched E3 with two of my friends. One of my friends had like a massive heart attack when they announced the Paper Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga style game.
that was pretty cool. I heard
Which-
a lot of people were excited about
Yeah,
that.
that looks awesome, and I love Superstar Saga. That's a fantastic game, and that looks great. But even all of us collectively, like during that Metroid announcement, we were like, "Oh man, this is bad." And then I just like I'm not a Metroid fan, but hearing you get upset about it like makes me upset for Metroid fans, you know. So
Because I love Metroid. I've already expressed on our podcast that this Metroid is one of my favorite series of all time, and I just don't understand why you do that. As a company, why would you think that's a good decision? It's been 8 years since the last Metroid game, and then you announce a spin-off. How would you not think people would get upset? And even the developer of the game, the lead developer, was like, "We knew there'd be like a pretty negative reaction when it first came out, but you just need to wait and see the game."
no, it was,
Is that
it
the
was
problem?
Reggie that said that. Reggie Fils-Aimé said that. The president of Nintendo America said that.
See, it's not. It doesn't matter how good the game is. It's not a Metroid game. It's not really a Metroid game. That's what's irritating about it. It's not the fact that it could be a good or a bad game. It has nothing to do with that. It could very well be a very fun little game. I don't care. It's not the Metroid game.
Sucks. It
God.
could be. They could have made a new IP out of it. They could have had another Splatoon situation where, like, look at this cool sport game that we're making, and it's a ton of fun, and it's this thing that nobody's ever heard of before. We didn't
I'd
make
bet
a
you
game and then slap Metroid on it.
Bet you $100 it wasn't its own separate idea. It was gonna be like a me thing, and then they made it into a Metroid thing at the last second. It was like, oh, we haven't given a Metroid game. Okay, we'll do this. No, you just pissed everyone off.
Your saving grace is you just got to be patient, and NX gonna give it to you.
That was pretty good.
I'm telling you, I totally stole that.
Oh.
But X gonna give it to you. You're gonna get your Metroid game. It's gonna be a launch window game, maybe a launch title. I don't know. I can't foresee this that clearly, but worry not. You will get a fantastic NX Metroid game.
I know, but I wanted one on my Wii U.
But it's gonna be you're gonna be glad it's on the NX though, because it's
Yeah,
gonna be
well,
way better.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have you're not gonna have to look down at your controller while you're playing to check your inventory on your gamepad and then find out that you died because you weren't looking at what was happening on the TV.
So there's a silver lining there. It's just Metroid. I think I've stated a number of times already. It was one of the reasons I bought the Wii U. It was the expectation that I would get one, and you could say that's my fault for assuming that. I don't think so, considering we haven't gotten a Metroid game in 6 years. We haven't gotten a great one in 8. So
Yeah, the Wii U is gonna be the first one that you don't get a high-profile Metroid game since the
since
the
Nintendo
N64.
64.
Yeah.
On the bright side, Sakamoto, one of the guys mainly involved with Metroid, is not going to work on Metroid anymore. He said that after Other M, which is a great thing because he totally butchered the story and they should erase that from the timeline. But I'm totally appreciative of everything he's done for the Metroid series, all the good stuff. You know that can't ever be taken away from him. But Other M was a travesty. And if you need like a deep explanation why, go to Gaming Brits YouTube channel and watch his Other M video. I think it's the first video he ever put out on his channel, and that's like what got him into YouTube. Watch that video. It explains it very, very clearly. I'm done with my rant. I don't want anyone to think I'm some bitter butt wipe.
No, it's
but-
okay. I'm sure most people will first of all, props on butt wipe. I haven't heard that in years, but I'm sure like more people than not that would hear this agree with you. So they're probably glad that someone else shares this opinion, and Nintendo can right this massive wrong that they've created.
That was my rantiest rant I've gone on in such a long time.
It might be.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever ranted like that before. I was just so irritated. But that was my biggest disappointment. I don't want to beat a dead horse anymore. Yeah. So that's it.
All right. So there you go. That's our 3 biggest disappointments. If we ever do, that went on for a little while. If we do our top 5 of all time, that's definitely going to be its own video. That'll be fun though. Guitar Hero will still probably be number 1 for me. Guitar Hero Live. But
Nintendo E3 2015 might still be on there.
Jeez. All right. But okay, let's move on to what we usually start the show with, but we're ending. This will be the last thing we cover is the major news stories of the week. Of course, we're recording this episode on December 14th, which it will a Monday, very early in the morning. But let's see. Let's start with Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy VII hype went from an all-time high to very iffy, really quick. And the producer, I wish I could pronounce his name. I'm not even going to try to butcher it. I'm sorry. But the producer of the game wrote a note for fans. I was going to read it, but it's kind of lengthy, so I'm not going to. But they basically they address why they are going to make it basically an episodic game. Final Fantasy VII, the original one, obviously is not an episodic game. It comes on many discs, but it's just one long game. And they basically say that they're doing that because they didn't want to cut anything and they want to add stuff. And because of this, they can't possibly fit it all in one game, which is basically what his whole letter says. And I pretty much just call bullshit on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't make any sense. Because I guarantee games like The Witcher, maybe Fallout 4, it depends, but like The Witcher itself just is the only example you need. I guarantee The Witcher 3 is denser than this game is going to be. It's denser. Yeah. It's definitely denser than Final Fantasy VII, the original game. Like even if you scaled Witcher down to the same everything, which is a stupid argument, but like it doesn't make sense. I really can't grasp what he means by we can't fit a Final Fantasy VII remake, a game that's 15 plus years old. They can't put that in one game in 2017 or whenever this game comes out. Like, I think they just want to get it out early, and I don't know. This whole thing just has disaster written all over it.
I don't know about disaster, more like
disaster.
Nonsense, obnoxious. I'm sure the game's still going to be good, like when it's done.
So in 2021.
One thing I want to say is that if each part is $20 and it adds up to $60, that's fine. Even if it's 30 and it adds up to 80, whatever, it's a huge game.
$30 and they add up to 80. How'd they do that?
I have no idea, Sean. I have no idea.
I'm sorry. I had to say something.
No, you should have. That was so dumb. I'm glad you called me out.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's say it adds up to like $70, $75, and it's between $20 and $25 each part. If they did that, that would be okay, I think, right? Because as long as not each part isn't like $40. Then I won't like throw a fit. But if each part's going to be like 60 or something obscene, then I'll be irritated. I'm not paying $200 for a game that should have been way cheaper because you can't budget your games correctly. But that said, I think what they're doing, I think the reason that they're doing this, because they have a lot of resources spread pretty thin. They got Final Fantasy VII, they got Kingdom Hearts, and they got Final Fantasy 15. And so, I mean, even if you look at the combat of Final Fantasy 7, it's pretty clear that they've taken what they're doing in Final Fantasy 15 and applying it there. So what I think that they're doing is getting some money because their budget is out of control, so that they can pay the way for the rest of the game. That's what I think they're doing. Because the resources are spread so thin right now.
Yeah, so like put out part 1 and then use the budget or use the profits
The
from part
revenue, yeah.
1 to then fund like, or at least make up for the funds of like part 2 and 3 or
Yeah.
4 or 5, however many they do.
That's what I think that they're doing. But episodic is just annoying. Just release the whole game.
Yeah, because
Like-
now, like, let's say they were gonna put out one full game, one $60 game in like maybe 2019. But now, if it's episodic, is that gonna be like once a year, every 6 months? Are we gonna get episode 1 now in 2017? But then, if it's a 3-part series, does part 3 come out in 2020? If it's a 5-part series, does part 5 come out in 2021? Like, who knows? I don't know. And now I don't want to play the game broken up like that. So do I wait and just buy them all when they come out? But is that going to cost me $100? Like, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, it's even if they ended up being reasonably priced, it's still kind of irritating. Because first of all, they haven't given us any more information about it. They just said it's going to be episodic, right?
Yes.
Like we need to know how many parts. We need to know how much it's going to cost. We need to know, like, what's the release date timeline. Because I don't want to play a game segmented like that. I just don't. Like I want to buy a game and get the game and then play it and then beat it and have that be the game. You know, I don't want to play episodic parts. It's not going to feel as gratifying, I don't think.
Yeah, like, I really hope they don't pull a Telltale. Like, Telltale, they just say, like, okay, here's episode 1. And then in a very, very random amount of time later, they say, okay, episode 2 comes out next week. And then another different amount of time comes out, and then episode 3 comes out next week. Like, I want to know before, like, we don't have to know now because the game is so far away, but like maybe a couple months before release, I want them to say, like, okay, episode 1 is going to come out this day, and then episode 2 and then 3 comes out this day. They're going to cost this much, and there you go.
Yep.
I don't want it to be like, okay, episode 1 is out today, it's this much, and episode 2 comes out at some random date in the future that we're not going to tell you. Because, like you said, I don't want to play, like, the first third of this game and then just be done until the next one comes out. It makes no sense. And
Especially for an RPG. Like, that feels so wrong.
Yeah.
Like, an RPG, it's supposed to be one cohesive, big experience, and if you do that, it's just going to feel awkwardly broken up.
Yeah, and they better hope that this game is ridiculous amounts of massive. Because we're going to play it and think, like, how did that not fit on? How is that now one game? Like, that's not even as big as The Witcher. That's not even as big as Fallout. That's not even as big as whatever. And another thing I don't get is they said that it's going to be the biggest Final Fantasy experience ever. So it's going to be bigger than Final Fantasy 15? Like a game...
What are they... what are they doing?
A remake of a PS1 game is going to be bigger than their brand new Final Fantasy 15 that comes out in 2016, maybe. Like,
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. They gotta really. It's not too late to back out. I don't think they might hear the outcry, and I doubt they will. But they could fix this and make it one game. Put it out in 2019. I don't care. Make it good.
Yeah, like, you can release it in 2025 for all I care, but just release it in one game and don't give it to me in parts.
Yeah. And he starts the letter by saying, for many years, people around the world have asked me, will you ever remake Final Fantasy 17?
7.
Or, yeah, what did I say?
17.
Oh, yeah, just Final Fantasy 7. And he eventually said, did I really want to spend so many years making the same game again? And, like, that's clearly no, because you're not making the same game again. From the trailer, it looks completely different, which is not a good or a bad thing. Well, it could be, like, you know, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing.
It could be a bad thing if it's bad. It's a good thing if it's good.
Yeah, like, if the game's good, the game's good. If the game's bad, the game's bad.
That's all that really matters.
But Final Fantasy VII is available on PS4 now. It's available on Vita, PS3, PSP, PS1, computer. Like, if you want to play the original, you have every means and rights to go play the original, and it's fine. But this remake is looking like it could go badly. But who knows? We're not going to know the answer to this question for a long, long time, so I'm just going to try not to ponder on it anymore.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that they don't screw the pooch on this, but I'm sure it'll end up being fine. Square Enix, don't release it episodically.
Please don't.
That's so unnecessary. Also, Final Fantasy 15 better come out next year. I want to play that game already.
That game's been in development forever. It was supposed to be It was supposed
Final
to be,
Fantasy Versus 13
yeah,
X2 million trillion
yeah.
2 dash divided by pi.
X2Y3 Z pi. Oh
So
man. And now it's just 15.
that game looks awesome though.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. People really like the demo.
Yeah, I mean Final Fantasy 7 remake looks great. Like I think it looks like a blast, but then like everyone's hype was there, and then they were like episodically, and then everyone was like, oh.
Yeah, the trailer that they showed at PSX was so good that people didn't even care that they completely changed the combat system. Everyone's like, "All right, this looks great." Like,
Yeah, I was surprised there wasn't more complaining.
yeah, like everyone said, if you remake the game, you better not change the combat system. And one of the very first things they announced is we changed the combat system. And everyone's like, this trailer is awesome. And the game looks beautiful. It's gonna be great. It looks fun. I just hope they really refine their combat system. I might have said this last week. I probably did, but if it controls anything like Kingdom Hearts, then it already ruins the whole game for me. Because Kingdom Hearts is one of the most dated feeling games ever in terms of combat.
I'm
So,
sure it'll feel better now.
Yeah, because Kingdom Hearts came out a decade ago. So,
I mean, there's just better programming, better things that they can do. So I'm sure it'll be okay.
yeah, and for Kingdom Hearts 3's sake, I hope that's the case as well.
Me too. I'm sure it will. It'll be fine. Positivity.
Yep. All right, next story. Bethesda Studios has opened a new AAA development studio located in Montreal, Canada, or Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I'm pretty sure is how you weird people in Canada work up there. It's their first studio like outside of the US, and they've said it's headed by the person that created Fallout Shelter, but they're not going to be focusing on mobile games. It actually says that they are working. It's a AAA studio that is working on console, PC, and mobile. So whatever that means, really, who knows what they're going to be putting out. They didn't confirm anything. Like all that we know is that they're working on something. So it could be another. Bethesda has been pumping out like a lot of good games. Like they're working on Doom. They put out Wolfenstein. They've obviously got Fallout and Elder Scrolls. They've been publishing games like Dishonored. So maybe the studio is gonna be working on, like a Fallout New Vegas kind of game, where maybe we'll get a new like side Fallout or maybe even a side Elder Scrolls game. Maybe they're making a new IP. Who knows? But Bethesda puts out some quality stuff, so this is kind of exciting.
Quality?
Yeah.
Yeah, but buggy.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the games overall are usually
Yeah.
very good.
I was like mentally associating quality with polished in my head, and that's not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah. And that's usually just like the Bethesda Game Studios games, like Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Like Dishonored, I don't really remember people having problems with Dishonored, and God, I don't know. Of course, I'm drawing blanks.
Other games too.
Yes, other games and Wolfenstein. And
I had no idea that they funded that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And right now they're working on Doom, but they're definitely known for their issues, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel that.
So like they have a studio that you would think is working on a new Wolfenstein game because the last one did really well, and they put out that New Blood DLC, and that did really well as well. People not only like the game a lot, but it apparently sold really well, especially in a time where we don't really get that many single-player first-person shooters. Like first-person shooters that are solely single-player.
Yeah. What I'm glad about the games like that is that it really shows that there's room for lower budget games that are still awesome. Like they don't need to be quadrillion-dollar budgeted games like Destiny. You can have this great single-player experience that they don't need to sell 20 million copies to break even.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
You don't have to be like we were talking about earlier with Square Enix and their budgeting. Tomb Raider sold millions. I think the Tomb Raider reboot sold like 3 or 4 million copies, and it underperformed.
Oh my god, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I would be ecstatic if I put out anything that sold 3 to 4 million copies. I don't know.
I would be ecstatic for anything that sold like a third of that.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're also not making big games.
Yeah, we didn't put millions of dollars into the product. So, but that's what budgeting is for. You got to know what you're doing. But I mean, that's really all I have to say about the Bethesda studio. With like, all they really announced is that the studio exists and that they're working on AAA games. So, it's good though, because the more video games, the better. The more AAA games, the better. The more Bethesda games, the better. So if they've got another studio pumping out more games, then that's totally fine with me.
Yeah, it's great. That's cool. I don't really have much to say about it either.
Yep. Do you want to end with more Nintendo hate, or do you want to jump to that next?
Let's jump to that next, because I don't want to bag on them so much, because I love them as a company. They've just been irritating me.
And I don't want to end on a negative note. And I'm already tired of hating on Nintendo, because I'm still super excited for the NX. But a new Nintendo patent reveals a controller that is a large screen.
That is ridiculous and dumb.
And
Hope.
all right, according to Sky.com, Nintendo developers have filed a patent for a console game controller made out of a screen. The application describes a video game controller with a large elliptical front-facing panel, which is a touchscreen. It has 2 holes punched in it for analog sticks to poke through, and the document even says that glasses-free 3D technology could be used with it. The controller also has 2 triggers and shoulder buttons and includes a speaker. So, I mean, companies patent stuff that they never use all the time, and it's obviously all the information we have on it is from the patent. Nintendo hasn't said anything on it, but this doesn't. No, I don't think. I honestly think 0 good things come out of this.
I think the idea of a completely touchscreen controller in the way that it's presented in that like conceptual drawing is stupid and terrible, and I hope that that's like either an optional thing, something they don't ever use, or become something more of a traditional controller with that screen technology like in the middle or something, kind of like the Wii U pad except better or whatever. So I hope it's like that. Like,
it's a PlayStation Vita as your controller.
Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, that would be fine. But if it's like how it's presented in the picture, and we can I think we could put a picture of it up, so you guys see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I could do that.
But it's just touch controllers in that manner are just don't feel as responsive. It's just something not right about it. There's not that tactile button push. Like, you can have a vibration. It's not the same thing as a button push. And I hope Nintendo has learned that you can't sell a console on a gimmick. It worked with the Wii.
Because everyone's parents and grandparents bought it.
Yeah, that was the exception to the rule, not the rule. I'm fine with them innovating hardware. I really like the idea of like a hybrid portable and home system / console. I think that idea is great. Maybe that little thing is what's going to be the to-go thing.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be kind of cool. I still don't like the idea of it being touchscreen like that. I'd rather have buttons, but...
Yeah, because there's no face buttons on this.
Yeah, there's many ways that they can make this work. I hope it doesn't end up being just how it appears in the conceptual drawing of it, because that's very unexciting and it feels like Nintendo's just repeating the same mistakes. But I don't know if we have enough information yet. Actually, we definitely don't have enough information yet to jump to any conclusion to say it's definitely going to be terrible. Like once all the news comes out for it, or it's definitely going to be awesome. I think all we can definitively say is that at least me and Sean both feel that as presented with like the minuscule amounts of information that we do know about it, it looks silly, and I hope that's not what it turns out to be. But it might not turn out that way. So.
And would your thumbs not get in the way of the screen? Like looking at the picture, like your thumbs cover up like 10% of the screen, maybe, which is way too much.
Yeah, it's. I feel like it's not going to be as terrible as it's being presented. I feel like it's very misleading, or they might not do anything with it. You know?
Yeah, like
companies file patents all the time.
Yeah, like there's so many PlayStation patents that just have never seen the light of day and never will. So this honestly could be the biggest nothing, but it also could be the biggest something. And
or it could be kind of whatever.
Just imagine playing Super Smash Bros. Without face buttons, and instead of buttons, you have a screen that you push. Imagine playing Ninja
Hate it already.
Gaiden. Imagine playing Ninja Gaiden with no buttons. Imagine playing Street Fighter. You think you can play a competitive Street Fighter game using a touch screen?
Yeah, that's what I want to know is what do touch controls offer that buttons don't already do better?
Nothing. You can draw.
Yeah,
You can
that's
swipe.
it. But like, what's the point if you're just gonna like put like a circle for the buttons of like where you're supposed to press and like arrow keys or whatever? Then it's just being a controller but worse.
Yep.
That's it. Like, it's just touchscreen is cool, like for phones and like really simple tasks, but for complex video games, it just I don't get the appeal. The Steam controller kind of works because you can bind the keys to like anything, so it's pretty interesting. But I'd still rather use a normal controller. Like it just control sticks, face buttons, and a D-pad is perfect for a game. And if you want to expand on that, you can go like the VR Sword Art Online route. That'd be cool. But the trying to making touch controls like part of a hardcore experience is very questionable in my opinion.
Yeah, and
Especially in that nature, like how it's presented to us right now.
yeah, I can't do it. I'm not gonna do if this. I know this is obviously jumping to conclusions, and I'm not at all insinuating that this is the controller for the NX. But just saying, if this is, that console's already dead to me, and I won't play it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the main controller and I don't have any other options, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
If it's just as presented, right? That's assuming nothing else changes about it, which it will.
I'm not. This really doesn't worry me. I have this. What you're talking about with smartphones, like with what can touchscreens do. Avenged Sevenfold put out a smartphone game, and I'm a sucker because like I bought it because I'm a sucker and I love everything they do. But it's a 3D game, like kind of like a Diablo style game where it's like a top-down 3D environment moving game, and there's a little circle on the screen, and where it's like your movement circle, and then you put your thumb on it like it's an analog stick. And it does not feel good at all. It's awful. Like that game totally should have been on the 3DS or the Vita, and it would have been way better. Like that, and then like you have your attack button, which is a touch screen, and you lose your thumb because like you can't keep your thumb. If you want to move up, you have to like swipe your thumb up, so you can't keep it in the circle the whole time. Like it's a nightmare. Whoever thought that's how 3D games should be played should never make a video game ever again. And just like the Vita has the dual analog sticks that feel really good, and it's still really portable, and all the face buttons, and then the 3DS has the little nub that works really well. Like I don't know, even with the shoulder buttons and the analog sticks, I really don't think touchscreens. The touchpad on the DualShock 4 is as absolute far as touch control should go on a console. Like any farther than that, and it's just like it won't work properly. I can't imagine. You'd have to be an absolute genius to get it to work and be fun still.
Yep, I agree.
Yep,
I don't want to get. I've been pretty negative with Nintendo today, and this involves a whole lot of like reaching speculation about it. So we don't know anything for sure. Could be fine, but I really hope that it's not what the conceptual design looks like. And usually things change a lot. So, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, NX is going to be great. X is going to give it to you. All right, closing out the show today with some November video game sales. For start, the only thing is the PlayStation 4 outsold the Xbox One in November, and Sony said that they had their biggest Black Friday ever, which is crazy. They probably sold probably 2 million PS4s over the Black Friday weekend, which is like completely insane. But the top 10 software for the month of November, which this was the one I was most curious about, if you remember from a previous show, between like Call of Duty coming out and Fallout and Star Wars and all that good stuff. So number one selling game of the month was Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which sold the most on Xbox One, which is funny because Sony probably spent all that money on marketing. But I think Call of Duty players will always live on Xbox. Like, they've got their clans on there, they've got their everything. I think no matter how much third-party support Sony would put into Call of Duty, I still think, and obviously as sales show, it's always going to live on Xbox. But NPD doesn't factor in digital sales, and they don't factor in bundles. So, and there was a big Call of Duty PS4 bundle, so that could matter, but I still probably think it sold best on Xbox, even considering all that. Number 2 is Fallout 4, which sold best on PS4.
Surprise to me.
What, that Fallout was number 2?
No, that Fallout 2 sold better on PS4.
Oh. Number 3 is Star Wars Battlefront, which sold best on PS4. Number 4 is Madden 16, sold best on PS4. Number 5 is NBA 2K16, which sold best on PS4. FIFA 16, it's FIFA 16 that sold best on PS4. Need for Speed is number 7, sold best on PS4. Halo 5 Guardians at number 8, sold obviously on Xbox One. Assassin's Creed Syndicate sold best on PS4. And then number 10 is Just Dance 16. It's sold best on the Wii.
What?
Yeah, not the Wii U.
This
Wii.
year or this month?
This month.
What?
Yeah, those Just Dance games, they be killing it. Well, they know what they're doing over there. They still put it on the Wii.
Must have gotten like a huge discount. Oh, this is like a new one?
Yeah, Just Dance 16, a new one that just released. They put it on a Wii because like those are the games that people bought your Wii for. Like my sister specifically didn't buy this because she doesn't play her Wii anymore, but this is a game that my sister would be like, "Oh yeah, I play video games once a year. I'll pick up Just Dance and I can dance like an idiot with my Wiimote."
That's incredible.
Yeah, it charted number 10 in the month of November, and it sold best on Wii, then Wii U, then 360, then Xbox One, then PS4, then PS3.
Wow.
Yep.
Very interesting.
So, it's I want to reiterate again that Rise of the Tomb Raider is nowhere to be seen on this list, and I feel so bad for Crystal Dynamics because they made an incredible game, and it just got absolutely sent out to die.
Because they released it in the midst of all these other... Like, that was just the business sense. Where was it?
Yeah.
Who was in charge of these decisions? Like,
I really think I don't know how much money Microsoft gave Square Enix for this, so they might not care. Like, they might have gotten a huge amount of money and they're cool with it. Yeah. But, like, I'm sure they made this deal way before the PS4 was murdering the Xbox One. I'm sure, like, they wouldn't do it if they could do it again.
Yeah, not being on the PS4 probably hurt it a lot.
Yeah, like I'm very, very anxious to see what the sales numbers are going to be on PS4 day one next year.
I feel like by then people won't care.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. I'm going to get the game because I'm very eager to play it. But
yeah, and me too. So that's like where I think it might sell well because there's more than double the PS4s out there than Xbox Ones, and critics are saying it's amazing. So, like, people, I think, will pick it up. I saw a funny joke that someone said, like, I can't believe the Tomb Raider embargo went up a year. The Tomb Raider review embargo started a year after, or a year before the game comes out. I just totally butchered that joke, damn it. But, anyway, I actually think it's going to sell really well next year when it comes out on PS4.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm holding you to that.
All right, quote me.
What constitutes selling really well, though?
Better than it sold on Xbox One right now.
Okay.
Considering the game would be a year old at that point, I would say that's incredible.
All right, just to be a devil's advocate, I will bet you that it will not.
All right.
I want it to, but just for fun.
Yeah. But honestly, like, next year it's gonna have the same problem. Like, it's gonna be going up against Horizon. It's gonna be going up against Call of Duty again. It's going to be going up against the single player Star Wars game that's probably going to come out at this time next year. It's going to be
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
It hasn't been announced yet, but EA is working on a single player Star Wars game.
Oh, okay.
Visceral is working on a single player Star Wars game that's being written by Amy Hennig and Jade Raymond. And Jade Raymond is helping on it, and it's going to be great.
Dope.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's basically all sales numbers. They still, of course, don't talk about, like, specific console sales, but from numbers that we can figure out through many different outlets and articles and guesses, we can guess that PS4 is still has probably about double the amount of sales as Xbox One. And like it's clear with all the third party, like almost every game I listed sold better on PS4 except for Call of Duty and Just Dance. So it's weird that Just Dance even sold better on Xbox One than PS4, which is, I don't know why that's strange, but it just is. Oh, probably because of the Kinect. That makes sense. But that's all I gotta say about November sales numbers.
Yeah, I don't.
Pretty
I don't have anything to say,
straightforward.
really.
Like the top three were like the only things I was like most interested in. It's cool to see Madden still on there. Like I know people hate Madden, but I love Madden. It's crazy that game came out in August and that's still number 4. But Call of Duty's still big. People love Black Ops. Like people loved Black Ops 2. People love obviously Black Ops 1 is one of the people's favorite Call of Duty games, if not the best. And I'm really curious to see if like how long it's going to take for Call of Duty to start dipping in sales because Ghosts didn't do well at all, but then here we are, Black Ops 3 doing incredible. So Call of Duty is so interesting, even though people hate it so much.
The thing is that the core game, like the mechanics of the game, it's fun. It feels satisfying to shoot and kill things in the game. So, whatever. I mean, it's become stock at this point, but the most recent one, the past 2 have been like some of the most interesting games in the series in forever from a gameplay standpoint. So, people can hate it all they want. It's fun. It's a fun game. I enjoy it. I like Call of Duty.
Yeah, honestly, when I see people like when the new Call of Duty is announced and people say like, really another one, like come on, there's gonna be a Call of Duty every year for the rest of forever. We get like people still when Madden 17 gets announced, people are gonna be like another Madden this year. Like, holy shit, it's gonna happen. Just let it go. Don't buy the game. It's cool.
Yeah, don't buy it. You don't want it, don't buy it.
Yeah, like
Well, the problem is that in order to get the new stuff, you do have to buy the new game with the new players. I think it's more insulting for sports games than it is for other types of games, because like the changes are so small that they could have easily done it in like a patch and a small one.
yeah, definitely.
So
and
that's why it feels bad.
yeah, like people need to vote with their wallet. Like if Madden 17 sold like 10,000 copies, then you better believe massive changes would happen. But it still sells millions upon millions, so like why would they not do it?
It's because the people complaining about it, like this vocally, aren't the same ones who are buying it every single year.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, the people that are complaining about Madden haven't played Madden in years. That's the funny thing. Like the people that say that Madden's the same game year over year, they do not play Madden. So like why would EA listen to them? They listen to the 5 million people that buy the game every year. So why would they not put it out every year? That would make no sense if they were like, we can make $200 million on this game, but instead we're gonna put out a free patch and not make that money. Like and like NBA 2K16, those games constantly get high review scores every single year. Like it's no fluke that NBA is always like that NBA 2K16 sells so much that NBA Live might as well not even exist because of how good of a game NBA 2K is. Like it constantly gets 9s from every review outlet. I love sports games. I don't buy and play enough sports games, and I get them like every single year.
Last sports game I bought was NBA Live 2003. That game was the shit.
That was the last one you bought?
I loved it.
Was that the one with Allen Iverson on the cover?
No, it was with Jason Kidd on the cover.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the first. I think that was the first NBA Live game I owned actually.
That game was awesome.
Vince Carter was on the cover of the next one, I think.
But, well, once they don't have NBA Live games anymore, right? It's just 2K.
No, they do. That's how dominant 2K is. Like, yeah, an NBA Live game did come out this year.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Because I remember switching from NBA Live to 2K and playing it at someone's house, and I remember hating 2K. I was like, "This feels so weird."
Yeah.
I'm sure if I like played 2K for a while, it'd be fine. Just because I was used to NBA Live, which is like almost the same game. But whatever.
I went back and forth for a while, and it's weird, but I played the demo of NBA Live 16 and I actually like it. I think it feels really good, and there's a lot of I love the 2K games, but there's a lot of things that happen in those games that I don't like. I feel like I don't have enough control of my player. I feel like there's the momentum in those games are ridiculous. But I still love them, and I think they're great, and they're obviously leagues ahead of the live games. But yeah, the last NBA live game was 2010, and then they were going to make NBA Elite 2011, but they canceled that game like a week before it came out, and then it died until they put out NBA Live 15, and now they put out 16, and it gets absolutely trounced by 2K every year.
They need to make those NBA Street games again.
Oh yeah, NBA Street 2 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and NFL Street. Oh man, NFL Street 1 and NBA Street 2. I have like days upon days upon days of gameplay on those games.
Whew.
So good. But I think that about wraps up our show.
Yeah, I've absolutely nothing else to add to any of that.
All right. So thank you, Ben, for joining me. Thank you guys, of course, for listening all this way. If you liked us, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell your friends about us. Follow us on Twitter at @getsome_games. I'm pretty sure I touched on this at the beginning of the episode, but the podcast is now on a scheduled time. We're going to be coming out every Monday at 9 a.m. So, of course, check us out then. I think that'll be a lot better to like actually look forward to it instead of just randomly popping up in your feed whenever we did it.
Yeah, I also think that our different shows will become more regimented as time goes on. But yeah.
Yeah, I think sticking to a schedule is way better. If the calibration ever gets perfected, and if I ever get better at Rock Band 4, I would like to put out a ridiculous FC every week at the same time, but I can't guarantee that right now because I don't want to kill myself trying to FC hard songs right now because it's almost impossible. But that's everything. Thank you guys very much for listening, and until next time, we're out.